What is going on, everybody, and welcome to a Thursday edition of MoBetta Sports. I am your host, Antonio, aka Mr.MoBetta. And as always, we are bringing you the latest news and analysis on Texas Longhorns football. And this week, guys, we are going to be playing none other than the Vanderbilt Commodores, the 25th ranked Vanderbilt Commodores, might I add, for the first time, I believe since it was like 1928, if I'm not mistaken. It's somewhere along those lines. It's been a very, very long time since we played Vanderbilt, nearly 100 years. And of course, last time we played them, they got their W. I'm sure they are still holding on to that. The Brainiacs over there, they never forget. I think what is crazier about this Saturday coming up is not even the fact that Vanderbilt is ranked 25th in the country or that they're 5-2. I actually think that it's even crazier. They should be 6-1 and higher ranked than they are now. We'll get into that later on, but this is a very, very scrappy Vanderbilt team that I expect to show up. I expect that they're going to show up and play hard. Not the most talented team overall, but definitely scrappy, and they do execute very well. I think Texas, if Texas doesn't jump on this team early, they could give them some problems. But before we get on into all of that, I just want to say I hope everybody's having a great day. If you are not subscribed to the channel, do me a favor, hit that subscribe button, or at least consider liking the video. It would do me a favor, gets the video spread out to the YouTube world, gets it out to the algorithm, and y'all know it's all about the algorithm these days. All right, without further ado, let's go ahead and just dive straight into this game. What I want to talk about first is the fact, just my initial thoughts on Vanderbilt after watching. I watched pretty much all of their games except for Alcorn State. Alcorn State was the only one I didn't watch because I don't think I really need to explain, right? My initial thoughts on Vanderbilt are, one, like I said, they are a very, very scrappy football team. And it starts, as most teams start, it starts at the quarterback position. They have an absolute baller in Diego Pavia. Diego Pavia literally gives me Baker Mayfield, Sam Ehlinger type vibes. And I know that Longhorns fans and Sooner fans probably both hate even having those two names put into the same conversation, but they are very, very similar in my opinion. He's a playmaker, man. He's not the most fundamentally sound. He's not the fastest, not the biggest, strongest, doesn't have the best arm. But he plays the damn game. Honestly, he plays it like backyard football almost. He is not afraid of the opposing teams. He's not afraid to run the ball. And he's also not afraid to take shots downfield. He trusts the players around him. He trusts his running back, who we'll get into a little bit later. But Cedric Alexander is an Austin LBJ native. He is from right here in good old Austin, Texas, man. I'm actually glad to see that he's doing well, out there in Vanderbilt. It makes me happy to see Austin native kids doing well for their football programs abroad, wherever it may be, as long as they're not playing us, right? I think it's kind of funny. As I watched Vanderbilt's film, I couldn't help but find myself rooting for them to do well while I'm watching the highlights. I'm like, damn, I hope they can execute. I hope they pull it off. Even though, I know the outcomes of the game. It's there are several pivotal moments in every game where a game is either won or lost. Especially with Vanderbilt, as Vandy has had every single game they've played outside of Ball State last week and Alcorn State in week 2. Every single game Vandy has played has been a one-score game or less. 7 points or less. The win over Bama was 5 points. The loss to Missouri was 3 points. The loss to Georgia State, which makes zero sense, but we'll get into that, that was by 4 points. The win over Kentucky is by 7 points. Who was their other win over? I'm kind of blanking right now. Let me see really quickly. Who was the other win over? They had Kentucky, Alabama, Virginia Tech. Virginia Tech was an overtime win, 34-27. Again, a one-score game, which actually they probably should have won a little bit more handily. They missed a couple field goals in that game. Is what it is, right? Obviously, the team is talented enough to win these games, to beat a then-ranked number 1 Alabama, right, who's now lost their second game, and people are calling for Kalen DeBoer's head, and, you know, that's just typical nonsense, no football knowing fans. Those are just people that like to talk to the air. Kalen DeBoer is going to get that team right. I believe that. And they'll figure it out. You know, it's first season there. Anyways, that's neither here nor there. The team was good enough to beat that then ranked number 1 Alabama team. What I find very interesting about Vanderbilt, their offensive coordinator, Tim Beck, formerly a offensive coordinator for Texas, if y'all don't remember, back a few years ago. He has got this scheme really churning with Vanderbilt. They execute very well. And like I said, it comes down to execution at quarterback, which is one of our biggest problems right now. I would say it's one of Vanderbilt's biggest benefits right now is the quarterback play of Diego Pavia. He's almost like an artist with the scheme. He knows how to look defenders off. He knows how to fake defenders out. He's good at selling fakes. He's good at selling runs. He's good at selling everything. The kid, like I said, were he not playing us this weekend, I'd be rooting for him. The kid is a straight up baller. I love the way he plays football. With that being said, this team is very much ball control oriented. While they do have explosive plays in their arsenal, they are by no means a take deep shots down the field all the time type of offense at all. They are dink and dunk, move the chains, get in front of the sticks, and just keep the ball moving type of offense, type of team, really. And it's even, you can tell that in Diego Pavia's statistics for the season. He does have 66% completion for 1,391 yards. However, he's only averaging about 9 yards a pass, right? Less than 10 yards every pass. So not taking many deep shots, but he's protecting the ball, which is the most important thing. He's got 11 touchdowns to 1 interception on the whole season. Only 1. So they do a very, very good job of protecting the football. And of course, he also runs the ball well. Between him and Cedric Alexander, they have a really decent running game. He's carried the ball 118 times for 400 yards, almost 470 yards. Whereas Cedric Alexander is behind him, 23 carries behind the quarterback, which is kind of crazy, with 95 carries for 380 yards. They're both averaging exactly 4 yards a carry. And every running back behind them is averaging more than that. So they have a very decent, I would say even solid running game. We talk about ball control, and the reason I want to talk about that is because it is really essential to Vanderbilt's success. If you go back and look at all of their games up to this point in the season, Virginia Tech, they controlled the ball for 34 minutes in the game. Alcorn State, I don't even know if I honestly didn't look at it. I'm sure they controlled the ball, and if not, it was pretty close to controlling the ball the whole game. Alabama, they controlled the ball for 42 minutes in Alabama's game. 42-minute time of possession to Alabama's 17. They only won the game by 5, but literally suffocated Alabama's offense to the point that they had no time to come back. And they almost did, but they couldn't do it. They didn't have enough time, right? 42 minutes time of possession against Alabama. 32 minutes time of possession against Kentucky. 31 minutes time of possession against Ball State. Every single game that they have won, they won the time of possession battle. In the 2 games they lost, Georgia State and to Missouri, they had under 30 minutes time of possession. They had the ball for 29 minutes against Missouri, and I believe it was 27 minutes against Georgia State. When they cannot control the ball, they've literally lost the game. When they do not win the time of possession, they lose the game. That's kind of how they operate. But they're very good at holding the ball. And their defense it's kind of crazy. You would think that because their defense allows a lot of explosive plays and a lot of points to be scored, that it's worse for Vanderbilt, but it almost works in their benefit. It's kind of crazy in this regard that Vanderbilt's defense, the quicker they let you score, the better for Vanderbilt because they can hold the ball longer, right? It's like that sounds counterintuitive, but that has kind of been their recipe for success so far this season. It's worked for them in nearly every game. Even the Missouri game, straight up, really, when you really dig deep down into it, Vanderbilt should be coming into this game undefeated. They missed several opportunities against Missouri to win the game, and they missed several opportunities to win the game against Georgia State. Vanderbilt could very easily be 7-0. That is insane to say, but they very well could be. This could be a top 10 matchup right now. Like, that's crazy. And it's crazy because the difference in the offense and defense for the same team for Vanderbilt. The defense gives up so many big plays, so many shots downfield. They don't get good pass rush at all. Quarterbacks have all day in the pocket, but they do just enough. They come up with turnovers in just the right times. They come up with sacks in just the right times. The Alabama game, defense played lights out. They played phenomenal, right? So that's kind of an outlier, I feel like, in my opinion. But still gave up 35 points. So I say all to say that the team overall plays complementary football, whether it's it's the ideal type of complementary football or not, it doesn't matter. They get the job done. So what they've proven is that if you let them hang in the game for long enough, they will fight till the very end, and they will beat you. A lot of times, they'll beat you. They've proven it 5 times this season against a then number 1 team. They proved that if you let them in the game, they can beat you. They have enough playmakers. Outside of, Diego Pavia at quarterback and Cedric Alexander, he's got to have somebody to throw the ball to, right? Eli Stowers, I don't know how you pronounce that. Tight end. Big, athletic tight end. Not the fastest, but makes people miss. He's really strong. He's their top receiving tight end. He's their top receiver on the season as of right now. 463 yards receiving. And another thing that you notice about Vanderbilt's games, if you go back and look, all the games that Vanderbilt won, Eli Stowers was targeted at least 4 to 5 times a game, had at least 4 to 5 receptions, always over 75 yards. So he makes plays in the pass game. He is a mismatch in the pass game, to be quite honest with you, because he is he's not as fast as a receiver, but he's bigger, he's stronger, he's got good route running ability, he's got great hands, and he's make you miss in the open field type of tight end. Which is kind of crazy because he's, again, not the fastest, right? But he gets the job done. Outside of Stowers, again, I'm sorry if I'm butchering his name. But outside of him, the next closest receiver has 215 yards receiving. He's got twice the amount of receiving yards as the leading wide receiver on the team, right? So they're not a very big throw the ball downfield offense. Like I said, they will take their shots here and there, but they are a methodical, move the chains, stay ahead of the chains, move the sticks, stay on the field, and keep our defense off the field type of team. And it's worked very well for them. It's worked very well for them up until this point. So now that we've kind of given the breakdown on what I've seen from Vanderbilt and what I expect from them, because that is pretty much in a nutshell is what I expect. I expect them to try and establish the run game, but to use the pass game as an extension of the run, much like Texas does, and really just try and chip forward every single play. Try and move the ball a few yards forward every now and then. Try and get some pop plays in. They're very good with misdirections. They're very good with options. Tim Beck is very creative. So he gets players in the best positions to make big plays when necessary. And you got to give them all the credit in the world for that. They've done it very effectively up to this point. Now, with that being said, I still, at this point, believe that Texas is by far and away not even close the better team. And I know I said that last week against Georgia, which, listen, we done talked about it. But again, the missed opportunities, the elite defensive play, the 4 possessions inside of our 40, all of those things factor into the scoreboard. But I still think that we're the better team than Georgia at the end of the day. Roast me if you want to. We'll see again come SEC Championship week, because I know that Texas is going to be there. Now back to Vanderbilt. The thing we have to avoid with Vanderbilt is the 3 and outs. The 3 and outs, the stall drives, definitely cannot turn the ball over deep into our territory or in our territory. That would be preferable, not to turn the ball over at all, really. But we, much like what they do, I think we got to stay ahead of the chains, and we got to keep the ball out of the offensive hands, because their offense is their bright point. Their offense can make plays. They're pretty solid. I'm just going to say what it is. However, I think the explosiveness of Texas is just going to be way, way, way too much. The speed is going to be way too much. Not only offensively, but defensively as well. Alabama, for all intents and purposes, can play very good defense, but they play good defense in spurts. Texas just plays great defense, period. Texas right now has the elite defense in college football, in my opinion. All around, from secondary down to D-line. Not only because every one of them would start at any other team in the entire country, every single player on our starting defense, but even down to our 2 and 3 deep, we have starters at other, universities, flagship programs, whatever. Should they go elsewhere, right? The team's talent runs so deep, and Vanderbilt's talent just doesn't run that deep. You know what I mean? At some point, the talent is going to take over, because I believe that we have better coaches. I believe that we'll have a better game plan, a better scheme, and just better players all around. You know what I mean? Now, that didn't work out in Alabama's favor, but there's a huge difference between an Alabama team starting many sophomores, freshmen, and juniors on their team, and not very many seniors in their first season under Kalen DeBoer, as opposed to coming to play a veteran Texas team who just got their brakes beat the shit off of them last week at home as the number 1 team in the country in the largest game since, I believe it was 2006, as far as attendance is concerned. They just got embarrassed, they got their asses smacked, and they got sent home sad. I fully expect that Texas is going to come out here and put on a show. I think they're going to light it up, man. And I think this is a game where you can really get Quinn's confidence up as a quarterback. For whatever reason, it's been shaken. Maybe it's the injuries. Maybe he's just not seeing the field right. I don't know. But I think that this is one of those games where you can really get Quinn into rhythm, and you can let him take shots downfield, and he can be very successful, because their defense is just not very good. Straight up. Like, they're not very good. They do what they need to. They make plays when they need to. And they're scrappy, but they're not very good. They're not very disciplined. They miss a lot of tackles. Their pass rush is not good. And I just think, they're not gonna have what it takes to hold Texas down. Maybe a series or two, but I don't think it happens over and over again. And the way that the Texas defense played last week, man, I think they're going to come out with their hair on fire again. I think that they proved to themselves, along with the rest of the country, that this defense is for real. Texas's defense is for real. We are going to be without Andrew Makuba, who I believe he's doubtful. It's not out, but he's doubtful. We're going to be without him, which is unfortunate, but I think Jelani McDonald rotating back there is going to do well for him, along with Taffy. Taffy been playing like a fucking baller. That kid is playing lights out. I love watching him play football. Taffy is a kid, and I know his name is Tap, so chill. Taffy is the type of kid that you want on your team, man. He will do anything on that defense side of the ball to make sure that he's being an effective player. He reads the field well, and he's just gotten better every start that he's made. So I love the way he's playing football right now. Obviously, I think our secondary is phenomenal. I think our D-line is phenomenal. And our linebackers are the only position right now where I think that we need a little bit of work, especially in the run game. But this is, again, it's another team where while they are decent in the run game, they're not great at it. So I think that your preparation, your training, and your talent should overtake that. I think that that this team should be able to honestly really handy Vandy. I think they should handy Vandy, no Diddy, really easily. The reason it's a 19-point spread is because Texas very clearly, on paper, undoubtedly has the better team. On the field, we'll see. It's any given Saturday, obviously. Again, Vanderbilt has shown that several weeks now. Any given Saturday, any team can win. The more prepared and disciplined team and the team that executes the best that day will win. I think that this is Texas's this is their get-back game, because then we have a bye week right after this week. This is their get-back game to go on a bye week without a sour taste in their mouth and really just lay it on this team. Lay it on them. And I think that we establish a run game. I think we establish, really, I feel like in this game, we're going to get everything that we kind of been missing. I think we're going to have a very successful day running the football. And I think we're going to have just as successful of a day taking shots down the field. I hope this is a game where Quinn really gets things back under control and gets his groove back. I hate to see the scrutiny he takes from our fan base, because, listen, y'all, he literally just led us to a 12-1 season the prior season. 12-1. One play away from being in a national championship game. One play. It was one bad throw, to be fair. One play, right? How quick this fan base is to kind of turn on the kid who has fought through adversity, fought through injury time and time again, and has continued to come back and deliver for the Longhorns week in and week out when we need him to, and has gotten better every single season. I know I was really harsh with him last week because he regressed in a lot of ways that I did not like to see. However, that does not mean I'm giving up on Quinn as our starting quarterback. I think that he by far, like from here to like by far, gives us the best chance to win out for the rest of the season. Arch Manning does not. And for all of you Monday morning couch potato coaches, if you look at the film, there's no question who the quarterback for this offense is right now. I'll just leave it at that. So again, by all means, not the greatest team we're gonna see all season long. Probably this is probably Vanderbilt, to be dead ass honest, is gonna be the best team we see until A&M. In my opinion, they're gonna be the best team we see until A&M, and who knows, they might be even better team than A&M. We'll see when that time comes. Again, a potential game to be on alert for with an upset. They've done it already. I kind of feel like they're kind of running out of luck as far as upsets are concerned, but we'll see if they're a real team or not. We'll see if they are for real. Again, could be 7-0. Definitely could be 6-1 at the very least. Could be 6-1 team. But yeah, that's all I have for you guys. Let me get out a score prediction, I guess, before we get up out of here. So, given what I've seen from both teams and just the context surrounding this week's game, we're going to be in Nashville, away from home. I imagine that our fans are going to travel well, even though the game is sold out. I know it's sold out, which is crazy. Good for Vandy. But given the nature of the context surrounding the game, I think Texas really puts it on them. I think that we have the best defense in the country without a question. Maybe I'm going to kind of stick my nose out a little bit here, but I'm going to say it's a 45-17 game. I think it's a 45-17 game. We put a hurting on them. I think Quinn looks sharp. I think Jaden Blue finally gets some rushing attempts this game. Hopefully, please, Steve, give Jaden Blue some damn rushing attempts. Between Jaden Blue and Quintravion Wisner, we need at least 25 to 30 rushing attempts. Like, at least, please, for the love of Christ, run the football. Run the football, Steve. If you're watching this, Sark, I'm sorry. Sark, please, run the football. That's all I'm saying. And take shots downfield. Quinn, if you're watching this, take shots downfield. Please. Anyways, we'll see how it shakes out, man. It's gonna be a great game. Either way, it's gonna be great to watch Texas play football again after a bitter loss last week. Hopefully we have righted the ship and we just keep on chugging along. Like Sark said, we'd rather get knocked down in the 6th round than knocked out in the 12th. We're knocked down in 6. We're up for round 7. Well, I guess this would be round 8, right? We got knocked down in round 7. We're up for round 8. Let's go and take care of business, man. That's all I got for you guys. Again, if you made it this far into the video, please do me a favor. At least like the video. You don't have to subscribe if you don't want to, but consider subscribing. Please at least do me the favor of liking the video. It takes nothing but a second. Turn those notification bells on so you never miss anything we have coming for you. Because remember, no matter where you look, there's no better place than MoBetta Sports for your latest Texas football takes. I'm your host, Antonio, a.k.a. Mr.MoBetta, and I am out. Peace and hook 'em.